When you think about being happy, often you think about things you want. But the way spirituality works is actually kind of the opposite. It's not so much about what you want, but what you need. Like the Rolling Stones song, I guess. To get what you want out of life, you really have to get what you need. And to get what you need, you have to head towards what you don't want. Wait a second, that is totally confusing. The reason why is think of it like a teeter-totter when you're a kid. And in order to play, you have to have the balance. So if you're too far this way, you're stuck. Nothing happens. You can't go anywhere. You have to go more this direction in order to find the balance and the back and forth. The same is true for the south node and the north node. In your chart, you're going to find that the south node and north node are always 180 degrees apart. That means they're opposite signs. So it would be like a Pisces Virgo, it would be like a Taurus Scorpio. You get the picture. See, what we don't even realize, probably until we're at least in our 30s, hopefully, and not living in our parents' basement, is that we all have different realities that we live in. What we think is the only way is actually just one of many ways. But we don't realize it because we are stuck in our ways. One of my friends is a psychologist, and her most two hated words in the English vocabulary are comfort zone. That is exactly what a south node in your chart is. It's your comfort zone. When you're young, you don't even realize it. Maybe your parents and family even encourage you. They say, "Wow, you're so good at that. That's amazing. Congratulations." Not realizing that what you're actually good at is your own downfall. It is going to be this brick that is chained to your ankle that you're going to be dragging around with you. And until you just let it go, you're going to find that things just don't work out right. You might accomplish what you're after, but for some reason, it just never feels good. You never feel accomplished. And the reason why is because for multiple lifetimes, over and over and over, you've been doing the same thing. You have been living in a comfort zone. The more and more you stay in that comfort zone, the darker it gets. So, get out now. Get out as soon as you can. If you're 21 years old and watching this, congratulations, I wish I were you. But some people never realize it. And that's why you'll find that if there's a person that's happy, they have realized their north node and they're starting to head towards it. If there's a person who's miserable and they're 70 years old, it's because they're still stuck in their south node. Ew. So you know the astrology globe. It's a picture of a globe and then it has this arrow through it. Well, that globe is called an astrolabe. The arrow is pointing towards the north node and the south node is the direction you want to go away from. Okay. It's also referred to as the dragon's head and dragon's tail. The dragon's head, of course, is where you want to head. The dragon's tail, not where you want to go. Does this mean you have to abandon all of these things you're good at? I mean, you work lifetimes to achieve all this stuff. Do you really just have to let go everything you've learned? No, of course not. But it's best if you use those things to mentor other people. Teach other people what you know and let them be the star of that show for this life. Because you have a whole different role to play. And life isn't about doing what you're good at. Life is about figuring out what you're not good at. The North Node and South Node are also referred to as Karma and Dharma. So here you have the North Node. Hello. North Node is Dharma. And over here you have the South Node, your past. This is Karma. When people say karma is going to catch up to you, that's what we're talking about here. It's to say that everything that you've done in a past life is catching up to you now. Yeah, some is good. Yeah, some is bad. But everything that has been rehashed over and over and over too many times, it's becoming a broken record. That's your South Node. All right, so now, like a magical page, I'm going to snap my fingers and we're going to go into your magical North Node and South Node. Here we go. Sagittarius North Node, Gemini South Node. They're always talking. So in past lives, you guys were salespeople, teachers, writers, people that would have to understand the way that other people are thinking and then apply that with words. Words are king, of course, because of the South Node, Gemini. But this life, you have to think beyond the words. You have to look intuitively and find the meaning, the moral of the story. A lot of Gemini South Nodes are very popular because they are the kings and queens of small talk. They know what group you're from and what you want to hear and what's acceptable by your political or religious background, and they can just spew it right back at you. But you guys have spent so much time focusing on what other people are thinking that now you have to feel, like to really intuitively feel art or spirituality. So instead of saying with what you're comfortable with, like where you were born, what your parents taught you, the religion you were raised in, you guys have to step out of this in order to find yourself, to find your true voice. And then you have to tune out the voices in your head. I've noticed that Gemini South nodes, when they're kids, they have to be around other people constantly. Like they're so social that it's an addiction. And I've also found that it's hard for them to watch a long movie and to really absorb themselves in the fantasy. They're more like about documentaries or short, informative types of shows. As a kid, watching an hour and a half or 2-hour movie is just like snooze fest. They'd rather just call up a friend and have a nice chat. Yeah. A lot of South Node Geminis also struggle to find their identity. The sad part is they really don't know who they are. Like they'll say, oh, in high school, I tried so hard to fit in. But truthfully, you guys are still trying so hard to fit in. So what's the remedy? Well, it's everything that Sagittarius represents for you. And of course, this is going to be very hard because this is not like, oh, that's awesome, that's easy. No, North Node, this is the hardest thing for you to embrace. It's what isn't easy at all. Sagittarius is all about travel. It's about listening to your own intuition. It's about using your heart and not your brain. Shutting off the brain. Shutting off the words. When you're listening to someone talking, you have to see beyond the words and listening to the meaning between the words. What? Yeah, that's right. It's fiction and not nonfiction. Yeah, put aside that documentary. Stop learning as much information and reading all those articles in the morning. Go on to something like Elephant Journal or read Siddhartha or talk to somebody about their religious journey. Visit a country that terrifies you. In order to open up to who you really are, you have to open up to the world. You have to open up to the larger consciousness. It's interesting also for you guys in that when someone's talking to you, and I'm speaking from someone who's not a South Node Gemini, when they're talking to you, sometimes they feel like you're not really listening. Like you are listening, but you're just listening to the words. You're not feeling the sentiment or feeling the emotion. I know you pride yourself on learning, but sometimes you're missing out on the wisdom of experience. Instead of learning just from a book or an article, the latest research, learning from your actual life experiences and being connected to your life too, like feeling connected to your experiences and what's happening to you. That's my dog. To connect to your life not as a researcher or someone who's distant and watching it happen, but like actual tangible, like this is me, this is my life. To make it personal. I've noticed also that even though a Gemini South Node thinks of themselves as very open-minded, they're actually very closed-minded because they embrace what their tribe wants them to say and wants them to think. And tribe meaning like your community, where you're living and what the belief system is of the people around you. And you just rehash that. You don't find your own true answer. And probably because you're a North Node Sagittarius, you're actually going to find that you're a renegade. Underneath all of this, you're a rebel. And that's the part that scares you, is that you know that by expressing what you truly believe, you are going to stand out, like in a big way. You are going to shock your friends and family. Traitor! Good. South Node Geminis have a fear of death because until they connect to their Sagittarius side, which is spirituality and connection to the higher consciousness, there's a fear. All you have are facts, and the facts can't protect you. The facts don't go with you. Who knows where we're going, right? So until you connect to that intuition, you're going to fear the things that you can't explain logically and rationally, like death or aging. Ew. Time alone. Yeah, this is imperative. And also, this doesn't go for everybody, but a lot of Gemini South Nodes, you speak very loudly and your voice is just very commanding. So try not speaking. Try listening to the silence. Try listening to others without really interjecting or thinking through what you're going to say next. Just be there in the moment. Just feel. And even just lowering your volume, becoming more mellow, can completely change the way that you're going to perceive the world around you. Also, spending more time in nature because Gemini is all about the city and your community, and Sagittarius is all about travel, but also it's about nature, connecting to Uno, yourself, and the higher power, and that connection that's just easier to hear when you're alone in nature. All of these things help lead you towards being the real renegade that you are and becoming more independent and wise, to have that spiritual side to yourself. In the end, when you come through this full circle, you become a shaman. You become someone who's a spiritual guide to other people, where they feel like they can talk to you about things they're going through, and you can actually help them through it, because that's part of what Sagittarius is all about. Part of the dark side of being a Gemini South Node is that you guys are fibbers. You will manipulate a situation in order to be liked or to present the correct information that the group wants to hear. You're people pleasers, like, please like me, please like me. You have to like me. You have to be acceptable in every single situation. The more you do that, the more you're getting out of touch with your real feelings of what you really want and who you really are. So don't twist the words around just to fit the scenario. It's just not worth it. You guys are going to go from being people that were fibbers as kids to being the most honest in the room, where sometimes it could even be like uncomfortable honesty, where you just like call it as it is. Even if it's uncomfortable and they don't want to hear it, you're just going to speak the truth and let things fall the way they fall. You're going to take that gossipy energy that you used to have, you're going to turn it into something calmer and more resilient and stronger. You'll always have that logic and rational side to you that never goes away, but now it's just going to be combined with something that's spiritual and intuitive. It will become way stronger. Focus on the big picture. Really connect to art and movies and things that inspire you. Work to make it real and personal and part of your life. Don't just critique a movie and walk away, but actually have it affect the way that you live your everyday life. So step out of your comfort zone and stand on your own 2 feet. You might have to give up your community, your parents might be upset with you, but dare to be different. You're going to find that the people you attract are actually people that really love you for who you are, and not for what they want you to be. So that's my take on Sagittarius North Node. Subscribe.